Hello everyone, welcome to the last episode of season 1 of our video podcast series. Thank you so much for all the love and support throughout. Today we are going to talk about communication blocks in relationship, and to talk about that we have a very special guest all the way from USA, Dr. Robert Moore. There is so much to his introduction, but I'll try and give it in a brief. He is an associate fellow and supervisor from Albert Ellis Institute, New York. He is a certified trauma treatment specialist and he practices in Florida, USA. So let's call up Dr. Moore and listen what he has to say. Thank you, sir, for joining us today, and we are very glad that we'll get to hear from you about the blocks in communication in relationships.
Yes.
All right. So, sir, as you already know, lockdown is happening all over the world, and there is a sudden rise in conflicts, we can say, in relationships. So, can you throw some light on the topic that what kind of blocks that might be happening in communication?
I was going to ask you, are you running into it in your work? Are you running into...
Yes, very much.
What is the principal focus of attention or conflict?
See, what I have observed is they generally, when, before lockdown period, they rarely used to spend time together as both the partners working, and they don't get to talk to each other this much. But then since the lockdown has forced them to be together, and they don't have much work to do, so as a result it is getting frustrating for them. Sometimes they can't stand seeing each other for a very long time. So these are the kind of issues that I have observed in my practice.
Yeah, okay. I think the generalization that we can make is that people who already have good communication styles and good communication skills do better in this difficult time. And people whose communication was already a bit, shall we say, on the rough side, they have a special difficulty when they're put together very closely for an extended period of time.
Exactly.
So it isn't really quite as though being asked to isolate themselves together is the cause of their communication problem.
Yeah.
Because people who communicate well will handle that.
Exactly.
People who don't communicate well will have a little difficulty with it. Okay?
True.
So we should probably filter out the idea that the coronavirus is responsible for the conflict in communication. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's filter that out for a moment and just look at plain communication skills.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, and we can look at husband, wife, parent, child, siblings, co-workers, any pairing of people where communication becomes conflicted in some way.
Yes.
We can make a generalization about that. About conflict in communication that probably fits all those relationships, really. We have a tendency to be a little intolerant of other people's viewpoints, other people's realities that are different than our own,
True.
So we're going to be having conflict whether we're talking about a sibling or a parent or a cousin or a nephew or a spouse or whatever.
Yes.
All right? So my observation over time has been that one of the key ingredients in making communication work well is the ability to accept viewpoints, personal preferences, priorities that are different than your own. And some people do that terribly well. They hear someone express an idea that is very different from their own, and they have trouble with that. What, you want to have sex twice a month? Are you kidding? Isn't 4 times a week reasonable? You know what I mean? So they immediately clash with someone whose idea is different than their own.
Yeah.
And that is due as a rule to what went on in their families for years and years, because people aren't born doing that. People are not born intolerant.
Yeah.
They become intolerant by having intolerant role models, right? Like mom and dad.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So if you learn how to do that, if you learn to be a little rough around the edges and not very tolerant of other people's personal preference priorities, then you have a tendency to do that.
Okay.
It brings to mind a client I had years ago who just simply came in and said, "My God, I'm screaming at people all the time, and I just realized it's because that's what my parents did all my life." You know? And he caught himself because people were telling him, "Charlie, that's really unnecessary. You don't have to shout like that, okay?"
Yes.
And it occurred to him that he had picked up that habit. But most people are not so fortunate. They don't see where they got the habit. They really feel as though this is just me, the real and true me, right?
Yes.
I want things as I want things, and your viewpoint is kind of crazy, quite frankly.
So they don't understand that this is something that can be worked upon. It can be changed.
Exactly.
All right. All right. And so, what would you suggest? Like, what should people do when they face such kind of barriers and rigidity? So how should they approach these blocks?
Yeah, this will sound a little mechanical, but a lot of otherwise perfectly lovely, bright people, adults, don't really appreciate the difference between objective reality and subjective reality. And that's just a way of saying they don't distinguish too terribly well between facts and personal preferences and feelings, right? Because the only time people really get into a significant conflict, as a rule, doesn't have to do with facts. Because if we differ about something or other that's factual, you looked up, you know. Somebody may say, "Let's go take a weekend in Amritsar." You know, well, that's only an hour or two away. Oh, really? Really? From where? Not from Delhi.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Google. Hey, Google. Hey, Google. How far is Delhi from Amritsar? My system.
Okay.
450 kilometers away from Delhi.
450 kilometers. All right. So that's the way you resolve things when there's facts involved.
Okay.
All right. I mean, unless nobody in the world really knows, and then we can have opinions about it. Is there water on the moon? Some people think that there's water under it. If you dig down far enough, you'll find water. And other people, no. No, it's all the way through. Okay, well, great. If nobody knows, we can have our opinions. But that's not what causes conflict in relationships, really. Because if there really is a conflict about a fact, we just look it up.
Exactly.
We just look it up, right? So what we're doing when we're having conflict is we're differing not over facts, but over personal preferences and priorities and feelings. And this is what I like, and this is what I want, and this. You seem not to like that, and you want something else. And then we have conflict over stuff that really, truly should be sacred. Preferences and priorities and feelings and likes and dislikes and so on. That's sacred stuff.
Yes.
You have to learn, you know, if you really only get along with people who like what you like, want what you want, think the way you think, why did you marry her? No.
True.
Didn't you figure that out before you went to the altar? You know? So when we find ourselves in conflict, we're usually being intolerant of somebody else's personal stuff. Something you just can't look up. It's not a matter of right and wrong. It's not a fact.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So that's one way of addressing things.
Okay.
The objective reality, you ask Google, you ask Alexa, you look in the dictionary, you look it up in an encyclopedia, whatever. That handles that.
Right.
Either he's right or she's right, or neither one of you are right. Okay.
Exactly.
But the personal stuff, the attitudes, the priorities, the preferences, the likes, the dislikes,
they are going to be different.
Those are legitimate.
Yeah.
Stop with those. You can be surprised. You can even be disappointed. You can be frustrated. Only twice a month? Oh my God.
Right.
So that's a sort of a common denominator, and it works whether we're talking about siblings or parent, child, or spouses.
So can I say that the major block is the rigidity and intolerance towards others' personal preferences, and not accepting that it can be legitimate, and you can just accept it, like it or dislike it, but then they can choose to work their way around it.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And the point that I loved very much is it's as simple as ask Alexa, ask Siri, what is the fact, and the problem will be solved. And if there is a conflict, you need to understand that it is not the conflict of facts, but it is the conflict of personal preferences. It is the conflict of opinions.
That's right.
Right. And
Right.
if we learn to tolerate the difference in opinions,
That's right.
yes.
Yeah. But difference of opinions, yes, or just differences in personal wants.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Personal likes and dislikes and that sort of thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But those are sacred. Those are sacred. You can't fault someone for not liking what you like, right? Whether it's Italian food or vacations in Amritsar. It doesn't really matter what it is. You can't fault somebody for liking something you don't like or vice versa.
Exactly.
And once you get over that habit,
Yes.
there's no more conflict.
Yes.
I mean, what are you going to do? The worst that can happen is, oh shucks, that's too bad. Well, all right. I'll meet you on Monday. You get back from your vacation, I'll get back from mine.
Yeah. If only it was that easy.
Yeah.
Yes. But I really liked the way you simplified and you made it very tangible. Like there is a clear-cut way to work around this, to be more accepting, to be more flexible and tolerant towards others' preferences. So
Yeah.
I hope our viewers will definitely love this and they'll be benefited from this. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us. It was a pleasure talking to you. Hello everyone, if you liked today's video, please like, share and subscribe. Even though this is the last episode of this season video podcast series, we are going to come up with amazing more videos. So stay tuned. Thank you.